Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are excited to have Dr. Engohang joining us here today, who is a tenured university professor in the Department of Biological Sciences at Kent State University. Also, the founder of Ikaza Bridging the Gap, which is a nonprofit organization. We're going to talk to him today, get to know him, and also talk more about, the academic advising that he provides, and especially how it's helping more of minorities, low-income people, but really can benefit everyone. So first and foremost, pleasure to have you here. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. Thank you for having me, Jill. I really appreciate your time.
Well, same here. And you're just a doll. You were so kind. I got to talk to him a few seconds off air, and you were just genuinely such a sweet person. And I'm just impressed by all you do. And we're going to get to know you today. So for starters, would you mind just introducing yourself to everyone before we begin?
Sure, absolutely. I am Dr. Jean Engohang. I one, two, three. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I hear you.
I am Dr. Jean Engohang. I am a university professor at Kent State University. I'm a tenured professor, and originally I was born and raised in Gabon. That's where I come from, a French-speaking country.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually I moved to Europe to continue my education and came to the United States to actually pursue my research activities and eventually join the academic world. And since about 2007, I have been in the academic world, but with Kent State, I have been at Kent State since fall of 2010.
Impressive. Thank you for sharing this, and amazing background. And Clearly you love what you do, and your approach of course, you're unique to everyone. One size does not fit all. Let's just talk a little overview about the work that you're doing, and especially helping those, exposing them to science, mathematics, engineering, and all these STEM programs too.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, because one size does not fit all, and as a classroom instructor, I experienced it firsthand, right? And looking at the diversity in my students, their different backgrounds, I realized that, I cannot possibly teach the same way all my students. So I had to adjust my teaching. But then eventually, over time, I realized that while my students were benefiting a lot from my particular approach, I decided that I'm going to go beyond. And this is why I developed Ikaza Bridging the Gap. And basically, Ikaza in my native tongue, which is Fang, by the way, Ikaza means bridge. Bridging the gap to access to education, persistence, and degree attainment. Right? We know that not everyone has a culture of education. So really persisting and attaining a degree in a timely manner can be challenging. Not because we are not smart enough, no, but because of the complexity of the system.
Got it. Wow. This is impressive work. You're helping so many. And, you mentioned it can benefit everyone, right?
Absolutely.
But really, you're helping those, especially because there is a gap. There is those who are financial, with disparities, who are low income, who don't have the same access to these things. And I love that you're helping everyone. And can we focus a little bit on this and how you're working to bridge that gap, Dr. Jean? Thank you.
Yes. I'm really, it's a pleasure to actually develop some more on that. Now, you mentioned STEM earlier.
Yes.
As part of our activities, we also do early exposure to science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine among minority and low-income students in our community. Now, let's focus on our academic advising approach. Now, when we consider the traditional academic advising, a student has to be proactive. He has to take the step to go toward the advisor.
Okay.
And the advisor has to find the time the appropriate time to guide the student through. Now, what I have noticed is that among our students, not all our students are proactive, one. Two, not all our students understand the importance of the different resources we provide, not because they don't necessarily attach a value to these resources, but they just don't comprehend it. Now, a good example is, say, somebody who is coming from a family where education was not the most important thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mom, dad, grandpa, grandma didn't necessarily go to college. They don't understand the intricacies of college education. So it is very important to have a culture of education. Now, it is a fact that a big chunk of our community, including those who come from historically underserved or underprivileged background, they don't necessarily understand the value of everything that is around them.
True.
So somebody has to teach them how to use the tools.
Yeah.
And beyond teaching them how to use the tools, work with them.
Yeah.
But how do we work with them if we don't understand where they are?
And
right?
where they're coming from,
Now,
what they've went through. Absolutely. It's a full system of getting to know that person. Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong. The system as it is works hard. I am part of that system, right? I'm a university professor, and I know how Kent State works very, very hard to meet all our students where they are. But it is also a fact that the system has to obey a certain structure, right? Because the system has to obey a certain structure, there are just some mechanisms that, let's face it, we hope that the student is going to use the resource. But what do we do to get the student to go and use that resource? That's another story. A story that requires really a system that is proactive.
Yeah.
Now, and this is where ICASA comes into play.
Sure.
What we try doing at ICASA is to identify students who are in need. And once we know the student, then our policy and our approach is to have the first step made by ICASA. So typically, what we would do, say, Jill, you are interested in education, we would reach out to you. We would ask you, okay, how is everything going?
Yeah.
Have you been able to look into your syllabus? Do you understand how important the syllabus is to your education, to your success for the semester? Let me show you the different things that are important in the syllabus. So I'm not just telling you, Jill, you have to understand how the syllabus is important.
Correct.
I'm checking with you that you understand the different aspects in the syllabus that can be important to your academic success. That's one. Two, I reach out to you again to make sure that you are following what we talked about, right? So it's not just about telling you, you need to do this or you need to do that. It's about helping you with accountability.
Yes.
Now, maybe let me stop here for a second. Maybe you want to say something.
Well, I'm just fascinated by, your eagerness and your passion to help so many, and especially those that may be struggling out there. There is a place for you. I want people to feel loved, to feel supported. And the fact that you, as a professor and, with all your knowledge and your background, that you choose to do this, I just have to, first and foremost commend you on that. This is our first time getting to speak. I know you've been on our show before, but I also know, I read a little bit about your background. You came from, as you mentioned, a modest family, right? As a first generation college student, which I was myself. I can empathize with that. You were also a minority, you said, international student in a country. I mean, that had to be so hard on you not to feel so welcome. And you have walked in these shoes. You're not only kind and sympathetic, you are empathetic because, you've been on this journey and you've navigated yourself, and now you have the keys to success, to helping others. And it's, your heart that brings you here to want to help others that were in your place. So, I have to just, commend you on that. And then coming to the United States, my goodness, learning English. Wow. And so it is possible, if you're out there listening, as a child, as a young adult, as a parent, as a family member, if you know someone, I just want you to make sure you tell them about Dr. Jean Engohang Ndong, because he is here to help and to serve. And I got goosebumps thinking about it. I'll let you continue because I know we have limited amount of time, but I really am impressed with these programs, what I've gotten to know about you and all that you're doing, and, your services, the tutoring, you're helping with colleges, applications, and there's also a French class. There's a lot that goes along with the STEM, the academic advising, and so much. So we'll get to that as well. Let me have you continue, please, about bridging the gap. Thank you.
Yes. So the typical example I like to take, it's that of athletes.
Yes.
Professional athletes. Now, I always ask, well, who is one athlete, say basketball player, who is high achieving, football player who is high achieving, tennis player who is high achieving, who doesn't have a coach, right? There is no highly achieving professional athlete who doesn't have a coach. Now, here is the thing. This highly achieving professional athletes, they have intrinsic talents, right?
Yes.
Because they have intrinsic talents doesn't mean they do not need a coach, right? For some reason, we assume that because you are smart enough, right? Because you can understand math, because you can understand anatomy and physiology, because you can understand marketing or engineering, we assume that, well, you have to be able to navigate, the learning management system. You have to navigate the different elements that make higher education complex. How do you choose your major? Not because you are smart, you are going to make a smart choice on your major. No, right? It requires digging into your abilities and talking to somebody who has a large experience in dissecting your qualities and your shortcomings to guide you the best way possible, right?
Yeah.
So what ICASA strives to do is to behave like a coach, right? So you know that, well, even though you are smart and extremely smart, we recognize that you need some guidance because there are things that you don't see right there and then as you study that your coach can see and guide you through and help you achieve the most of yourself.
Wow.
So when you consider minority, low-income, and first-generation students, oftentimes the question is not so much if they can achieve or not. The question is when and how.
How, exactly.
Right? When and how. The when can be after having made so many mistakes, right? And all these mistakes have consequences in terms of time, right? Instead of getting your bachelor in 4 years, you get it in 6 years. That's a major issue, right? Money. we know that education is expensive in the United States. Let's face it, right? An extra semester you spend in college, it's money.
Yes.
But it's also energy, right? Because you are investing all that energy. But the question that we need to ask is, how do we help those of us who are vulnerable? I'm talking about the minority, the low income. But for those who are not necessarily at a position of vulnerability, the question we need to ask is, how do we get you to achieve the most of yourself and get you to go higher than you would go in a relatively short period of time compared to if you were to navigate by yourself? Rather than learning from your mistakes, right? We want to give you the tools so that you can identify the mistakes, the potential mistakes, and not have to go through these difficulties. Now, here is the thing. How many times I have seen, particularly Black men, young men, saying, well, sorry, Dr. Jean, I tried, but college is not for me. Young women, oh, sorry, Dr. Jean, I tried, college is not for me.
Yeah.
Another example is, I had a student who were taking a class with me. She was in vet tech program.
Okay.
At Kent State, we do have a veterinary technology program. And that young lady, very smart. And I asked her, well, have you considered going into veterinary program rather than vet tech, veterinary technology? She said, well, Dr. Jean, I considered it, but it's kind of expensive for me. And I told her, well, I do understand,
of course,
the expense part, right?
Yeah.
But here is the thing. Ever since I've interacted with you, the kind of question you are asking in the classroom go beyond what is expected of a vet tech. You actually need to go further, because if you stop here right now, what will happen is that, yes, you are going to find a job. Yes, you are going to make money, but you are going to quickly realize that vet tech doesn't satisfy you. You need to be more of an independent person.
Yes.
Because the kind of questions you are asking are that of a person who actually wants to find solutions on their own, right? So you can think of maybe doing research, but becoming a veterinarian is something that may be more suitable for you. Yeah. So that's some examples, and I have many more examples where students have told me, well, Dr. Jean, I've tried this, but it's not working, and I'm just giving up. And I'm like, whoa. Before you give up, let's have a conversation here. Let's see what you've tried. And let's dig into what you've tried. And that is typically the job of a coach, to guide their mentee through the process. Not just tell them, okay, you do this or you do that. No, let's work together.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I'm going to be hard, but sometimes I have to be like, well, you know what? I understand. I totally understand. I understand how difficult it is. But you know what?
Yeah.
Let's take it easy, one step at a time.
Absolutely.
And let's work things out.
I commend you on that. Amazing.
So our minority, low-income, first generation, and really everyone needs the kind of support that is basically asking for somebody like myself to reach out to the student.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
We talked about implementing your personal schedule. How is your experience so far with your personal schedule? Right now, I'm working with a couple of student athletes on my campus.
Amazing.
And what we've done is to actually look into their schedule, their practice schedule for basketball, their class schedule, their personal schedule, their work schedule, because some of them actually, believe it or not, work to pay their bills, right?
Yeah.
So how do you integrate all of that? So we literally meet on a weekly basis to go over how things are going for every single class they have.
Yeah.
So it's not just, well, you have to study, but it's about following up.
Yeah.
How do you provide the support for the student to study in such a way that they succeed, right?
Yeah.
Give them give them soft skills to become successful.
Yeah.
As they study. They're not taking, right? How do they go about their note taking? Do they have good notes when they are taking classes, or are their notes patchy, right? How do they prepare for exams? How about metacognition? How do they think about thinking?
Yeah.
Right? Do they comprehend that, from one subject to another, maybe you need to change ways you are approaching that subject, right?
Yeah.
And realize that, it's a real investment that you have to be, willing to succeed. Now, obviously, we can implement the proactive advising, but what I tell students is this: you need to help me help you. Up front, I want to help you, and I'm here for that. But if you are not on board, well, it doesn't matter how much I try. We're not going to go anywhere, because it is a fact that you cannot help somebody who wants to fail and somebody who works hard to fail. You cannot help that person, right?
Yeah.
So my expectation and my requirement is that I want to work with you. But here is the thing. I want you to be with me as I'm trying to work with you so that you can achieve the most of yourself.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all this. And we still got 2 more minutes left in the show, but
Sure.
I commend you on doing this. We'll have to unfortunately wrap it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I really want to invite people in our community.
Yeah.
When I say our community, I'm not talking exclusively about Ohio. I'm also talking about our national community to realize that in this day and age where the challenges of technology, AI, and where distractions are numerous around our students, and we know how education is crucial.
So true.
Our underserved student population, including minority, low income, and first generation, need the kind of advising we are providing, which is proactive advising. Now, that process takes time and it has a cost behind. So I'm really going to invite those in the community who want to provide some support to those in need. I'm talking about the minority, low income, and first generation to chip in. We have a website, ekazabtg.org. So Ekaza, it spells EKAZA BTG.org. So when you visit our website, there is a donation button on our website. You can make a donation. Without any kind of financial support, we cannot possibly provide the kind of support our students need so that we can help them. Because behind the work, there are people.
Absolutely.
And these people needs to be supported, need to be compensated for the hard work they do.
God bless. Absolutely. Well, at this time, would you mind sharing how we can reach out to you? Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, you can reach out to us online by typing ekazabtg.org, right? You can also reach us by calling us on the phone, 330-204-8735.
Okay.
Another phone that you can call us at is 330-617-4773. And this is Ikaza, Bridging the Gap in Canton, Ohio, the city of the Football Hall of Fame.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. My son wants to visit there so bad. I can't wait. He's only 10, but he's obsessed with football. So it's on our bucket list. Thank you so much for being here, for joining us, and all the amazing information. And thank you for doing all that you do.
We're trying hard.
You are. Thank you. Please reach out to help. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.